fiction, and Chris knows a lot about mythology. And he knows a lot about shit. Really. Robert's sitting there and he's kind of laughing. He's laughing. I'm putting a fast one over on this hippie, man. This is funny. He was having a good laugh at it. Kind of pissed me off. So I asked him if he's gonna buy me a coffee. And he says no, because he's a cheap fucker, right? So what do you have? Got a cigarette? I said, no. I'm looking at him like, so you come here to where I'm sitting to pick my brain. Because that's what you came here for. You came to pick my brain, right, Robert? And you didn't even bring me a cup of coffee and a cigarette or a cigar from down the store down the way. It was pretty rude. I was kind of miffed at the fact that he wouldn't even offer me to smoke. I was pretty miffed. So then he starts picking my brain. And just as he's starting, I'm looking at the blue sky right in front of me in Grandview Park, and I'm looking up at that blue sky and the sun, and I'm honestly, right in my brain, I thought clearly, looking at Andy and Robert there, I thought clearly in my head, today is a good day to die. Today is a good day to get ripped off and then spend the rest of your life getting back. Might as well. Because it's going to happen anyways. Being a smart guy, great ideas. It's going to happen anyways. If it wasn't him, it'd be somebody else, right? So, here I am with Robert Cooper beside me. Giggling. His little Marantz recorders. Wheels are spinning. I'm talking right to it, and they say, okay. So, he's saying, well, if you had some money and you wanted to make a science fiction show, what kind of show would you make? Well, is there a particular topic? He says, yeah. Like, let's say Atlantis. Like, what is Atlantis? Where is it? Where'd it go? Can you make a science fiction show about Atlantis? This is what Robert Cooper says there on the patio doors. And the reality is that me, Chris Taylor, I have, in fact, study Atlantis. Not the New Age, the great island of sophistication which fell into the sea and the lost civilization that was our ancestors, probably from another planet or some shit. Never. Not interested in that. I'm a realist. And Atlantis, there are only 3 accurate historical references to Atlantis, and only one of them is truly, what would you say, an incorrigible witness, because that is Plato. Plato. You know Plato? Public, get all this shit talking about law and human rights, basic human nature, and things like that. Plato. Okay, so Plato went to Atlantis. He went there. He wrote about it. You see, I took a long trip, and over here went to this city called Atlantis. Made a description of it. Description is approximately 5 sentences long, maybe 6. Describes smooth roads, very sharp cornered buildings, no seams between masonry, things like cement or asphalt or worked steel. Anyways, so I actually know about Atlantis, and I know what happened to Atlantis. Honestly, I know what happened to Atlantis. Personally, my own personal belief of what happened to Atlantis. The city that was floating on the edge, and they were trading for a couple hundred years with the peoples around the area, and then went disappeared. Okay? So I was saying, okay, so you have some money, and you're gonna make a science fiction show, and so what would you do? And what's Atlantis about? And, kind of show could we make about Atlantis? And I look at him and I say, I look at Robert and I say, well, you know, obviously you actually have some money and you're planning on making a film or a series. And that's why you're sitting here on this patio where you've never ever sat before. I know, because I sit here every day. And you're sitting there and you're picking my brain. And you came here to see me. You didn't just come sit on the patio at Turks because you thought there would be someone interesting that might know something that could give you an idea for Stargate Atlantis. That's not why you came to Turks, to sit here with Andy Makita across from you. You're both important people with a lot of time and money on your hands, and you're both sitting here beside me. You came here to see me. This isn't a random occurrence. So, I look at Robert in the eye, right beside me, his turn. I say, okay, well, let's make a deal. Right? Let's make a deal. Because you're just sitting here to pick my brain, and these ideas in my head took me years and years and years of reading and digesting to understand all these concepts in mythology and science fiction, art, writing. These ideas took me a long time to accumulate. So, how about you give me 15 to 20% of anything that you make off of the ideas that I will talk about in the next 15-20 minutes while we talk about the city of Atlantis and science fiction and how you would make a series about it. And you will give me 15 to 20% of whatever you make from those ideas. And I said this while I'm shaking his hand. I said, shake my hand, we'll make a deal. And I said all of these things. I said, you will give me 15 to 20% of everything that you make from these ideas that we will cover within the next half an hour here, talking about Stargate Atlantis, or Stargate. We didn't even say Stargate. He said he was from Stargate. Like, we're going to talk about the city of Atlantis and a science fiction show related to Atlantis. And I'm still shaking his hand. He says, I don't know. I said, well, do you want to hear about Atlantis? Because I really know. I really do know. I really know what Atlantis was and what happened to it and where it went. It's actually a pretty interesting story, but he wasn't really interested in the whole story. And he said, yes, okay, I agree. And he looks over at Andy and he has a little chuckle like, well, no one's ever going to hold me to this. A handshake on a coffee shop patio. No one's ever going to hold me to this. And then while my hand is still in his hand, and he has just said, yes, I will pay you 15 to 20% of what you make from these ideas. While my hand is still enclasped around his hand in the handshake, which is a binding legal agreement between business people. A handshake is an accepted binding legal agreement in Canada. Verbal and handshake together, binding. Okay. So, Andy McKee watches as we shake hands and we make this agreement, 15 to 20% of everything he makes from these ideas that we're going to cover, and I'll go into the ideas in a couple minutes here. And as my hand is still clasped around his hand, I look him straight in the eye and say, and if you do not pay me my 15 to 20%, I reserve the right to beat the fucking living shit out of you in the future. I said that directly to Robert Cooper's face while I was shaking his hand. He said, oh, I don't know about that. I said, no, we're making a deal here, right? So you're going to pay me 15 to 20% of any money you make from these ideas, and these are going to be good ideas. I'm going to give you really good ideas here for your television show that you want to make or you want to pitch and make some money. Because he already had the money, but he had no ideas, because he's not an idea man, he's a money man. He's an asshole, right? Fucker. Blood-sucking fucker, right? So, that's him. I reserve the right to beat the shit out of you. He said, oh, okay. Well, maybe you'll never come to that, Robert. Maybe you'll pay me. Anyway. It was a serious business deal. So, we're sitting there in the sun on the patio at Turks. Andy McKeedy is across from us, witnessing this handshake and this deal. And then I let go of his hand and we say, okay, let's talk about the city of Atlantis, the ancient city of Atlantis. And let's talk about what kind of science fiction ideas can come out of the ancient city of Atlantis.